the heroes of lands in the sun. We vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrating song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caricom. The great and diverse be our ethnicities, the bonds that unite us.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues, or any topical issue of the day. But the most important thing, you can introduce your own topic. You know, we express our opinion on issues, but remember, opinions are not facts. The democratic process gives us the opportunity to express our opinions. And we should. And we should encourage some people in our country to express their opinion. Not only to run down and criticize everything, but we must find out from them, you know, what is the benefits from that? Sometimes we find the faults and we multiply everything by 100-fold. And none of us is perfect, so no program is perfect. The number to call is 4420175, and you can get us on Facebook, Real FM, or Francis Spear. You can get them on Facebook. And you could share our program too. And today is St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is an interesting one, you know. St. Patrick's was born in Rome, Britain, and he was kidnapped, and he was a slave, went to Ireland as a slave. And when he succeeded in getting away from being a slave there, he went and studied priest and went right back to Ireland. So St. Patrick was the one who is considered as the one who bring Christianity to Ireland. And he was there, you hear, Roman Britain. At that time, Rome controlled Britain. For about 300 years, Rome was controlled Britain. The Europeans always fighting. It's not no Europe fighting you. They're always fighting with one another. So Rome controlled Britain, and the Romans only left Britain around 410. Because at that time, the barbarians and other tribes was attacking them. And they wanted all the troops. They wanted all the soldiers. So they withdraw, you know. So this we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and the Catholic Church, the Anglican, the Lutherans, a number of Catholic and other churches celebrate St. Patrick's Day. He's also considered like the patron saint of Ireland. And you will find him in a number of Catholic countries. St. Patrick's is St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick's. And then we have Australia, Canada, Nigeria, a number of other countries. You find a number of churches taking the name of St. Patrick's. So it's a good day to celebrate. And it's in the heart of Lent. But you have permission to drink. When it's celebration time and people are happy and comfortable, you have time to drink. So in Ireland, they would interfere with the Lent that day or two and drink the alcohol and go back to the practicing of the Lent. And that is acceptable. That is acceptable. It's good to make our children know. I always say to people, we cannot have a celebration and your 5-year-old don't know why you're celebrating. This is the key. And you can't expect them to tell them in the school. I think the teachers still on walk the rule. Most of them on walk the rule. So they may not bother to tell them that. But you, the parents, must find out. And there is absolutely no excuse now. Sometimes I hear people jumping up about library as if they don't realize that our library now is an extension of our hand. We're working with a piece of gadget that we could get more information on than we might have in a library. So your library now has changed. And we should provide information about children. When you meet a 5-year-old and you ask them about St. Patrick's Day in Grenada, they should know. They should know. I have serious issue with the attitude of parents to children. I know there are some parents that need help for themselves. So I'm not speaking about them. Maybe about 10, 15, 20% of the parents in Grenada, they need help for themselves. But the majority of parents could help. And parents could help their neighbor. And I always warn the intelligentsia, if you don't help my children and my grandchildren, your children go married with my children. So you may as well understand, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, they don't mean you must go and beat people's children. They say you must help children. Because the neighbor's child is going to have serious impact on your life and your child. A man of the cloth said the worst thing that could happen to a poor man is to live near to a rich man. I thought that was a good thing. He told me, no, it's a bad thing. Could you imagine the rich man eating the chicken that you don't see people line up and buy? I can't remember the name of the organization. And don't tell me because I'm on the radio. There are a lot of people, more they bigger in mass, bigger they are in mass, more they like this chicken. Could you imagine that you're eating your chicken or you have your fete or your barbecue and the neighbor don't have nothing? And you not sharing with the neighbor? And they smelling all this meat there? You know what going through their mind? And it's not that you did anything wrong, but you're not sharing with them. And this period is a good time to understand that that's the Lenten period. When you pray, it's because you love God. When you fast, you love yourself. And when you give alms, you love the neighbor. Well, how hard that is? How hard that is to share with the neighbor. In a lot of times, the neighbor have more money than you. You see, more money might come to your hand. But it's not the amount of money that comes to your hand, it's what you do with the money that comes to your hand. So you might take your money and you might invest it. The neighbor might say, what I save is what in my belly. So they have more liquid cash in their hands. But you're an economist. You go to school, you have BA, you have MA, you have PhD, you have all kind of other D. You could help give some time and some talents to help your neighbors. And so the community would grow. I am convinced that if we change the attitude, particularly of our success story and the intelligentsia in Grenada, in 5-10 years, Grenada is a force to reckon with. Because when I look around, I always ask people what you need more. The roads in Grenada is exceptional. You have some houses in Grenada, the average house in Grenada, the capacity, the amount of people living in a house, the average house, you check the number of rooms, the space it has. When you see the cubicle people living in New York, some little cubicle, you have to reverse to go in the toilet. And you don't have to believe me, because people say so much of things on radio. They camouflage the truth. So I like you to ask your relatives in New York City, what is the size of the place they live in? Ask them how much rent they pay. Sometimes when they come down here and they bring some clothes, give us, some of us don't even satisfy. Even though the trouble that is seen in America, how hard they working, how much tax they paying, and the little cubicle they living in America. While when we wake up, we stretch, we have fresh air, and we watch the neighbor mango. We don't even have to ask the neighbor permission to go in the mango. This is Lenten time. That is why we mind on these things. Because during Lent, you're supposed to pray, fast, and give alms. And we really want to encourage successful Grenadians. And Grenadians we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Well, I want to say happy St. Patrick Day to the people of St. Patrick, although time is not normal for our celebration we normally have, but we still have a mark for the day. Although recently before the corona, it turned into what you call a big black hole, but still St. Patrick Day was not being, I don't know if it's because of the poor management or whatever, but it was not. But right now, we still mark the day and we cannot. So I'm still saying happy St. Patrick Day to one and all. Secondly, I want to say, Brother Pierre, this government, this leadership of this country has managed that COVID-19 the best in the Caribbean. I will say that with no apology because in spite of the downturn of the economy at the time, the government was able to maintain all its social programs, able to keep all social programs on target, and even increase. I don't know how they was doing that. Yeah, they even increase the social services of this country. More people on the public assistance. We have children going to school to learn a skill, and the government is paying them. First time in the history of this country. So this is why I made the remark on Sunday. I made it sometime last week with your program. This is the easiest election for Grenadians to make a decision. Because why? The government has performed. Nobody cannot challenge this government. This government has performed the handwriting. Who have eyes to see? Let them see. Who have ears to hear? They could see and they could hear that this government has done the best for quite a long time to this country. So I don't know if you, and I quite agree with you, we have nice houses in this country. We have a lot of, when I look at the type of homes we have in Grenada these days, and I look at those in Trinidad, it's no match. So Grenada come a long way, and I agree with you, in the next 2 years, if we keep on the trend we're going, Grenada will be one of the best little islands in the whole Caribbean. I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree with you to some extent, but sometimes people say government perform. I've always said that no government in Grenada has lost election because of performance. Well, during the revolution, Gary performed quite a lot, but they overthrew him. Government lose election because of politics. Politicians sometimes get complacent because they believe they perform. Politics is about winning. And that is why Forbes Bonham and a lot of people had a different interpretation. He said when you win election, you're not supposed to lose again. And I agree with him. But you must be cognizant of the politics. You know, and that is a very important thing for ministers and political activists and politicos. They must remember that the politics is important. Sometimes other forces in the country could able to dilute the significance of your performance. So the politicians have to always pay attention to politics. They have to make certain that their supporters reach in the polling station. But if you don't want to believe me, ask Winston White. He lose election by 1 vote. All his friends go and fish. Some of his friends go and fish. They say when they come back, they're going to vote. And these things happen. Yeah? And thank you. But anyway, thank you for the call. It's important, you know, for people have to prepare to understand that this is about politics. We have a democratic system. And in the democratic system, one man, one vote. Everybody vote is important. But you can't say that I'm a lawyer, I'm a smart, intelligent individual, so I go win election. Does that mean that your action is in the interest of the ordinary man? It can't be. And politicians have to remember that the majority of people in any country, or in most countries that I know of, come from the lower socio-economic strata. And you must address the concerns of these people. If you consider them as the old guard, as they old, if you consider them as they can't read, that they're stupid, that they don't have sense, remember they could vote. In the 70s, these were the statements that made to people. Illiterates, you have no sense. They sell all your body already like cadaver. But these people didn't used to bother with this insult because they did not have the command of the English language to take on the intelligentsia. And they were not in control of the radio stations. Like, no, we have 30 radio stations. Alistair Hughes and Leslie Pierre and the others, in those days, they control the media. But these people say, I know how to make me X. And you better believe it. When 6 o'clock in the morning, they used to line up in front of the polling station to make the X. So my brother, complacency have no place in politics. And let me continue to say that. The amount of negative criticism I hear about Grenada, there are some people who come to Grenada and they're shocked. They can't believe this is what they're hearing. When people talk about poverty, you go in Jamaica and see poverty. Go in Jamaica and see poverty. When you're talking about people on the street, go in Guyana and see people on the street. In Grenada, governments after governments after governments have done their utmost to make certain that we raise the poverty bar. So I normally say the destitute poor, we have taken away from them. We don't have that in Grenada. Some politicians don't agree with me. But I say, look around the community and tell me where you find them. And every Grenadian child who is prepared to go to school and make use of the opportunity, have an opportunity to go to university. St. George's University, whether it's the University of the West Indies, Russia. So Grenadian children cannot say, like yesteryear, that we don't have our opportunity, we can't go and study. No child in Grenada could say that. And that is what I consider as development. When you have clean, potable water that is easily available to you, and I normally say the backup water system. I wish somebody could call me and tell me what they understand by the backup water system. It's 30 minutes away. The furthest point is 30 minutes away from any home in Grenada. And it's available. Go in Jamaica and ask them how far it is. Go in Barbados and ask them how far it is. Go in Guyana and ask them how far it is. When you see the water in Guyana, you know. So this is what we must tell our children, that our children must know that there is no child in Grenada now that don't have an opportunity. And if they feel they don't have an opportunity, go in the church and tell them that. And the churches will provide an opportunity for you. It doesn't matter whether it's Islam, Adventist, Catholic, Methodist, all the churches. If you go and you tell them you're hungry, they'll give you food. So there is no Grenadian now, unless a guy is experimenting like Robinson Crusoe. Or he's a Rasta and go quite in the woods and then talking to people and he don't have no telephone. And I don't even think Rasta doing that now. Most of the Rastafarians, they're within close proximity to people and they have some bad phones. So our children must know that. A child must not say, I don't have an opportunity in Grenada. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
And good afternoon to your listening audience.
Great, sir.
Yeah, I just tuned in and I heard it mentioning about SGU. You touched on the lockup of the press people before. But Mr. Pierre, we have to look at our history, Mr. Pierre, and where we had come from, eh? Mr. Pierre, you remember 1951 was the adult suffrage right of to vote, huh? And who fought for? Who was the current politician at the time? It was the late Eric Gary, yeah? And that was a revolution in itself, because Gary had strike, which was Kyred. He fight for the Union. He bring in the Expo 69. He was father of independence, Mr. Pierre. He brought what you just mentioned there, the St. George's University, which contribute to 25 to 30% of the GDP, Mr. Pierre. Gary did all that. This was benefit. But there was also problems. There was Kwandamania in 1962, victimization and violence. There were murder of activists. Also, there was Bloody Sunday and Monday. We know about that. But, Mr. Pierre, moving forward, Bishop came in, and there was a lot of changes, Mr. Pierre. Both social, political, and financial changes. There were what you call, he had bring in,
MNIB, NIS,
International Airport,
International Airport.
Education literacy decreased from what? 49 to 14%.
You really believe that statistics?
Huh?
I mean, that just give them, but I don't agree with statistics. But we will not get that. We could accept that.
49 literacy.
Yeah.
Literacy dropped from 49 to 14%. Whereabouts? There was Center for Popular Education, CP. There was scholarship to Cuba, agriculture and agro-industry. We know all about that. The Maribor Farm, the Grenada agro-industry, MNIB. We mentioned that. Nectar. But Mr. Pierre, when you compare those days and the history, I say all that to say, when you look at the history and statistics and the records of the past leaders, Bishop Gary, how do you rate this current leader? What would you say he have done, Mr. Pierre? I say all that to say that to bring to that point. What would you say are some of the contributions, the legacy he has made to the economy, Mr. Pierre? What our children 20 years, 10 years down the line would say about the present Prime Minister, Mr. Pierre? You see any legacy?
I thank you, caller. If you want me to respond to that, because this one going to take more than a few seconds.
Let me just make last point and I'm going to that, concerning that. Mr. Pierre, we are now reached to a stage where people see, they don't see the party. We see the person in the party. We also do not concern about country no more. And who bring it to the state? Who to be blamed? That's what I wanted to say, Mr. Pierre, today. Have a nice day.
Okay, my brother, thank you. It's always good to go back in history. You name 3 leaders. The other leaders made the contribution too. Whether Mr. Blaze, Mr. Buffett, or Tillman, there was stabilizing forces. I normally say that the politicians in Grenada are the best, the most hardworking, dedicated, committed, and conscientious professionals in Grenada. I put them in front of all other professionals, including doctors and lawyers, because they make the greatest sacrifice in Grenada. But 2 of the most successful politicians that pass in Grenada is Eric Matthew Gary and Dr. Kit Mitchell. And when you're studying politics in the Caribbean, you must study Kit Mitchell. They provide the greatest period of stability in this country. Maurice Bishop had a lot of ideas, but I'm very dismissive of him because the cost, the price we pay for the ideas Maurice Bishop had was definitely too much. 3,000 people went to prison. A similar number had to run out of the country. And Maurice Bishop supervised over the worst crime after slavery and colonialism. But he was an orator, and he had very good ideas, and he helped to internationalize Grenada. And when you're outside of Grenada, you could be proud to identify with him. Dr. Kit Mitchell was able to merge the 2 social classes. The ordinary people we used to call estate people and illiterates and cast all kind of negative aspersion on them, Dr. Kit Mitchell was able to bridge these two groups together and provide a period of stability for this country that it must be the admiration. But I'll tell you 4 things Kit Mitchell do. Different from, I'm not talking about structure and building. One is the structural adjustment program. Mr. Blaze, under the structural adjustment program, retrench workers. Mr. Breezen, under the structural adjustment program, cut social spending. He hit back. Mr. Breezen turned back on the people from the lower socioeconomic strata. He sacrificed them to balance the book. The International Monetary Fund just come out from Greece and provide for them a solution that was unacceptable to anyone. And when they reach in Grenada, Dr. Kit Mitchell and his team changed that template permanently and forever. Where he was able to amend to address the challenges in the book without retrenching workers, without cutting social spending, in fact, he increased social spending. This is a masterpiece. A second one I will tell you that is a masterpiece in Grenada is the Imani program. It is the best program that have been instituted over the last 100 years. Because this is a program that take on and assisted 3,000 people. It gave them hope. It was able to raise and maintain their standard of living, their dignity. Give them an opportunity to further their education and encouragement. And it provide a serious economic base. There are some economists that would tell you when a country have high unemployment, give money to the poor people to raise the whole principles of the economy and dynamics. You could ask our economists. So this is a masterpiece. I have always advocated that Jamaica should advocate or try to implement a program like the Imani program. Look at this one here. We have a situation in Grenada. We have a Colin. Colin, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Sepe.
Welcome, Colin.
Sepe, in 1970s.
You have to speak a little louder first.
In 1970s, in the 1980s, when people had to go and bring water, they go about more.
We're not hearing you so good now. I don't know if they...
Hello.
Right, put the mic.
Yeah, I say when people start to go and bring water before they go to school, they might have to go about 2 miles to get water to bring back to the home. But when they look now, what they see right in your house, your water. So, who caused the miss or folk at the time of Dr. Mitchell? You electrify the rural area and the whole of the country. Dr. Mitchell and get report. And because the parents had to do work early and evening time because they had no current, no light in the home. But right now, every home there is light. There is fridge for people to get water to cool water to drink. And look at the amount of achievement with Imani workers, young people. What is the government continue to do for the young people? And what other things that they continue to do for the greater people to bring development, housing, better road. Everybody benefited. It's a holistic. You don't want to see the people benefit. Everybody has and I always say, if you have one cake, you can share one cake for someone live back so. Everybody will get a slice of the cake. And this is what the government is doing.
I thank you, Colin. Thank you for helping me with these. These seems to be kind of obvious. So I was going after those that people don't talk much about. Another one that is a masterpiece. I have not responded to it for a couple of weeks. I was waiting to hear what the economists say, what the opposition say, what the trade unions say, what the business sector say. I'm disappointed in the credit union and the bank. I thought they should open them out on it. Is the fact that you provide money for Imani and contract workers to take loan. This is a masterpiece. I am surprised that I don't hear the psychologists talking, because this could change the entire dynamics of our economy, where parents in the house sees it as a reason, as a justification to provide venture capital for the children. Here, government is coming in to provide, government is taking risk. So I call it a venture capital to provide money for e-money and contract workers. These people the bank don't want. These people the insurance company don't like. These people the financial institution don't want to see. Here you have a government recognizing that and decide, I'm going to risk in these people. I'm going to go after these people. Because if these people decide to invest, they can, each one of them might employ 1 or 2 people. They might employ their own family. It only takes one to turn a billionaire or millionaire as a result of that. This is such an important aspect of our development, particularly when you have all the financial institutions are very liquid. They're very liquid, but they have no confidence in this group of people. This is what killing our economy. The banks and the financial institution have no confidence in a certain sector of people, the majority of people, irrespective of the fact that you put your money in the bank, you put your money in the financial institution, they don't want to borrow your money because they don't have confidence in you. Beekeepers in Grenada, they can't get money easy because the bank don't like them. The insurance, not the insurance, the credit union start to come like the bank. They're behaving just as the bankers now. So they don't like these people. And a government coming and saying, let us invest in this group of people. This is a venture capital. This is supposed to have a rippling effect through the country. For instance, when one of the big companies, let's say like Coates, decide to emulate a worker, instead of giving them plaque, offer them a loan so they can invest. That loan will be insured. So you're going to find business taking on a new set of dynamics where within the business they have loan scheme to provide for the members to go forward. This is a masterpiece. And I believe very soon you will see other Caribbean islands taking on this project. I don't know. I've listened and I'll take my time up and look at it. This money provided for a group of people that is not normally able to seek finance from the banks or the credit unions or the different insurance. Simple because they are poor, simple because they come from the vulnerable group and they are treated with suspect. And a government have enough confidence to recognize that these people more likely will pay back the loan. But this is not strange. Sometimes I wonder what the University of the Western is teaching these individuals to go and study economics. They come back and they are economists. These things are done in India before, where an individual, I can't remember his name now, went around borrowing little money to village women. He turned billionaire. And the people were paying back. So here you have a government that decide to introduce venture capital to force the hand of the financial institution. In the next 10, 15 years, financial institution going to start to have more confidence in the people of the lower socioeconomic strata. The St. George's University, they said that Dr. Kit Mitchell is the Prime Minister of Education. That's a university that come from Gary days. Gary took the risk. Because anything with education, Gary going haywire. He didn't even understand the full implication, but he took the risk. But the St. George's University claimed that Dr. Mitchell is the Prime Minister of Education. I have not heard it challenged by any one of our intelligentsia, so I'm not challenging it too. I'm accepting it. A call on the line? Yeah. I'm accepting it as it is. You want a government to think. You want a government that could forge unity. One of the biggest problems we have in Grenada here is structural fracture in political party. Only 2 political parties that was able to survive more than 1 term in Grenada. Eric Matthew Gary. Look at the quality of the individuals he had. The women were married. They had children. They was relatively stable. All of them was working before they come to politics. They was dedicated community individual. They was in groups and organization. This is an important factor in politics. Look at the group of people that NNP has with them. The women are relatively stable. They're married. They have children. They have their man. And if they have an alpha male, no matter how hard they work, they have to try and get up before him 3 o'clock in the morning to back to work again. This is what help you to forge unity. Not some bright individual with a hot mouth that never make a day work in their life. A political party have to understand that. Both the political parties of Eric Gary and NNP have always said they always had their hand in the enemy pot. And it's a very important thing in politics. So you must be able to dine with those you oppose. Because we're not at war. We just have difference in political strategy. So Eric Gary was able to take Wellington Friday from GNP. Wellington Friday felt comfortable working and functioning with Gary, although he was opposing Gary. And look at what happened with the NNP. They seem to be much more inclusive, but don't believe me when I speak. Ask Tobias. Tobias was reluctant to join the National Democratic Congress because he was worried they're not an inclusive party. I have said on many occasions to my friends in the National Democratic Congress that you must be more inclusive. You must prepare to reach out more to the people from the lower socioeconomic strata. And more and more, they seem to have problems with the older ones. Kennedy Budlal was always tell you in politics, perception is reality. I know here nobody arguing with Kennedy. So I can argue with him too, because Kennedy is a local guru on politics. He interfered with all politicians in Grenada. And he liked to quote them. So how could you say you are even dismissive of the old guards in your party? When you look in Caribbean politics, whether you support Kit or not is not the issue. When you're looking at the Caribbean politics, you must study Eric Gary and Kit Mitchell and Maurice Bishop. You must study the three men. The challenge Maurice Bishop have, he did not survive one term. And he supervised over the worst crimes in Grenada after slavery and colonialism. St. Vincent built a new airport. St. Vincent jailed nobody. Jamaica had democratic socialism. Nobody went to prison. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. P.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll work again.
Go right ahead.
Look at the transformation of Grenada. Look at the port, bus terminal. It will check if the Grenada structure presently change. Look what the government did again with the Ministry of Companies. And I always say to people, if you owe 10-12%, you take a loan and pay off all of them. So they only pay the one where we take a loan. And this is what the government did, NNP did. Right? Because when you have to come in town to do a business for government, you have to go from one ministry to another ministry. You might take a whole day. Right? They put all the ministry and in one compound. So it make it tax much easier. So they could take about 3 or 4 hours to finish the work to go back to your home. And this is something very smart, and that is a government of vision, where we could still put all the ministry together, right, to make your life much easier for the people. Right? I mean, look again at the National Stadium. Again, look at housing, the housing unit. the amount of housing unit that the government used for people, it remained in 2008, 2013, where the China gave the government 2,000 housing units to build. And they say, no, give them 1,000 and they will give them some money. And what happened? What did they get? And even get 1,000, but they didn't get income with this government in 2013. The 1,000 houses that they give up, the government was able to get it back to build for the people growing that can compete in that day. So this government, you see the government care, and they love people, and they want people's life transform and to live in a better living condition. Because when you look through the world, country like America, look at young people on the street. Right? Every day you hear they talk about people that leave the home. Look at in Trinidad again, other countries, among the poor people down the street. But look at in Grenada, people have a home where they could sleep comfortable. And you have food, they could get food. Okay? Even they go by the friend or the neighbor and they don't have breakfast, they don't have a pig, they will get it. Right? So I want to say the greater living country right now is much better off than how it was in the 40 years back. Because when you have a government that caring, a government that loves people, and a government that only so another politician come in there to seek the interest. And I always say, when as a politician, you have to you're supposed to be someone that up there. That's someone that have already. So when you come in politics, you come there to seek the interest of greater people, not to seek the interest of yourself and forgetting the people that put you there. You have to look at people. And I say politics about people. You have to care about people and love people. And if you care about people, you'll never reach the way far. So, it's a blessing.
Yes, thank you, Colin. This is an important question this gentleman asked, and anybody could respond to it. I like to stay away from these structures in development, and I deal with other issues. But the number to call is 442-0175, and anyone could respond to that question, or you can come up with other issues. I always say that I could support a guy 20, 22, 23, 25 years, just leave school and want to go in politics. But I want to know that you're working. You don't go in politics if you don't want to work. Wayward tell me that is irresponsible. When John Galt asked Wayward why you don't be a politician, Wayward said never vote for people like me to go in politics. And Wayward is an orator. I'll even put him in the same grouping with Maurice Bishop and them. Very knowledgeable individual. But he said politicians have to be responsible. A young person from school might be in group or etc. You have people over 30 years, never make a day work. Because they have a big mouth and they feel they could speak English. You want to go in politics? You know? Why? People like this have to be encouraged. Go get a job. Open a little business. Even though it's rabbit you rear, or you get 2 pigs. So people say, this man is a good pig farmer. This man does burn coals all the time. He's a hard worker. But if you don't have the appetite for hard work, when you become a minister, what do you think is going to happen? Some of these ministers, they work very hard and they have a family. They have a family. Even when the National Democratic Congress was in power, you see 1 or 2 of the ministers, they had their business, they had their family, and you could know the hard workers in the party. Some only making confusion, you know. And when you do some little comparisons in Grenada, you must acknowledge that perhaps the 3 most outstanding individuals in the politics in Grenada for initiative is Eric Gary, Bishop, and Dr. Kit Mitchell. But the 2 successful stories that we have is Eric Gary and Kit Mitchell. For stability alone, Brizan says the island of conflict. You think businessmen want to come and invest in an unstable country? You will be able to attract your people to come back home. But they would not want to come back if every minute there is internal wrangling and fighting in a political organization. You know? And this is a good time for us to discuss the politics. And I believe we must discuss it that way. By advancing justification, rationale. And you could give me a call. The number to call is 442-0175. Some Mabel Child say he gave small micro program for unemployed people to open small business. We have a call on the line? Caller, welcome. Caller gone, sorry. Caller, call back. This guy, he gave small micro program for unemployed people to open small business. This is so important in this country. Right now, our psychologists should be encouraging parents to provide venture capital for your children. Yes, some parents in greater amount, you know. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre seems to not totally satisfied with something that you just said there.
Like what?
In terms of Mr. Clement was saying that he thinks the best thing for Grenada now is for the NDC to join with other parties in inclusive.
When caller, when Mr. Clement decided to move over to the opposition, he was asked by an interviewer whether he would join the NDC. He was not able to make up his mind. He said the NDC is not an inclusive party. And that is what I'm saying. I'm saying Mr. Clement said that the NDC is not an inclusive party. So he was hesitant.
Right.
He didn't say he wouldn't join them. But when he was asked if he would join them, he said they're not an inclusive party.
But he is now calling that there should be.
Well, that was months after.
Right.
And you see how much time.
I am saying, how would you take a man of Mr. Clement inside of the NDC or inside of a political party when he doesn't? Mr. Clement is not a politician.
Mr. Clement is a politician.
No.
What is a politician?
Listen, Mr. Clement said to the nation that he do not want to work for the salary that is being paid to politicians at this present time.
I forgive him for that, man. You see, sometimes I just forgive politicians. Well, my brother,
Yeah.
politicians are under immense pressure. Some of them gone on a station, somebody jump a question on them and they answer. Sometimes I look to see if there is repetition or if they regret it. That doesn't mean I won't quote them on it.
Okay, well,
You know?
I don't see him as a team player on either side. He can't play with NMP. You can't play with NDC. Who you playing with? He can't organize a team for himself. He tried to organize a team for himself. He was not successful. He told us he had a gentleman in America who was supposed to come to join his let's call it the party. That didn't materialize. Up to now, he can't tell us the name of the person doesn't reach in Grenada. People that he put in the Senate, they walk out on him. He tried to join with NDC. He can't make that. He leave NMP. Where he playing? And which match will you play him? What position you go put in?
He's not the person that is likely to run for the NDC in St. George's?
Well, they will be crazy.
No, but you see...
They will be crazy. And I don't think, while it's true that I'm not in a support of NDC party, I don't think they're that crazy.
Let me tell you why a political party may always consider Mr. Clement. Mr. Clement is a very contemplative individual. He is not the person you expect to make major decision quickly. He's going to sit down and contemplate and ramble with it. And a political leader might believe I have enough time to influence him. So just particularly when you're in desperation, when you're in problem, Mr. Clement is a good person to invest in. You see right where NDC is now? Where NDC doesn't seem to have any appetite for old people, where NDC doesn't necessarily want the old guards, where you have some young people that seem to be bitter and angry and have serious influence on NDC, the leader might have a lot of respect for somebody like Clement, who have a long experience and is very contemplative.
Well, to me, Mr. Clement have experience, but he can't use them. And that is what I'm frightened at. He can't bowl, he can't bat, he can't field, he can't wicket keep. Where you playing him? What position will you play him?
Caller,
Yeah.
Clement, remember Clement was a young politician that went with Keith when perhaps he's sure he's going to lose. After that, he went and studied, and he came back and run in St. George's. And he has always played a little background role. He want to do his job and he want to be in a little politics.
Yeah.
He's a family man.
But the thing is, he play that way with the strength and help of Dr. Mitchell, not him.
All right, thank you.
All the runs he make, Dr. Mitchell has been for him.
Right,
He wasn't
thank
making
you.
the runs on his own.
Yes, thank you very much. Let's go. We have opportunity to have one or two calls before we end. And you could give us a call. It's an interesting discussion. We never back away from politics. And we express with views and opinion on any minister, any politician. When an individual decides to go and run for politics in Grenada now, you open the closet door. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Welcome, sister. Welcome and punch.
I'm punching on the same topic. Mr. Clement, I really sorry for him. But he should have stayed with the new National Party. He said the money those ministers getting, he won't able to work for that. What is the sense? And it's the Honorable Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell that sent him to school. That is it. That is the part of it.
You see, one of the things that a lot of NNP supporters have to understand. Your party has been extremely successful in politics. Your party is one of the most successful party in the Commonwealth. So you have to be extremely inclusive. And if you notice, when Mr. Clement left the party and Mr. Forrester left the party, the NNP executive never shut the door for them.
No.
And this is good macho politics. It's not like when the others was expelled from a party. They left and they was mumbling. They wasn't certain about the justification or rationale why they left. And these individuals could come back in the NNP anytime. You see, you have to understand. In politics, they don't have permanent friends, permanent enemies. They might have disagreement at a certain point. But normally, they agree with more things than they disagree. You there? All right. Sorry. You're gone. Yeah. So normally, and this is what people have to understand. And I look for that in politics. I look for the level of tolerance of ministers in politics. And I watch how they treat Caller Punch. Yes, Caller Punch.
Punching on Miss Kate Lewis.
Go right ahead.
My minister. I just want to ask the people in Grenada, Cargo and Pitman, do you really feel or do you really think that we need a change of minister in my constituency, which is Miss Kate Lewis? Never.
You satisfied with Kate Lewis? Was she pretty young? She come into politics her first term. She seems to be pretty dynamic. She maybe understand the maturity that the party work. She get married, and that is good. And I think she's a good example. And I like examples like that, you know. When you come in politics, the girls on the block must be able to watch you and say, this is, when I look at her in toto, she is generally a good person. And they show good example, not only from the political sphere, but in the whole attitude towards life. She have a great sense of humor. I see her passing around all the time. So I may have to agree with you. You want people like that in politics. Family-minded people. People that prepare to live in the community. You don't show off their sexuality. If it's a woman, she knows man she want. If it's a man, he knows woman he want. You can't have people not sure whether they want man or whether they want woman. And nothing is wrong with that, but you must be able to tell the public what your sexual orientation is. You know? And we come almost to the end of the program. If we might be able to take one caller, you have to punch. But we have a caller? Yes, caller. Punch. And end the program first.
Hello?
Yes, my brother. You're punching and you're ending the program first.
Yes. Well, yeah, my little concern is from the time Gary, right? To me, every politician played a part, right? And they played superbly, and and well, I have to say, well, right, maybe not according to how I like it or you like it out, but the important thing is they do what they had to do, and we had to move on. So I wouldn't really condemn Bishop. I wouldn't condemn Jerry. I wouldn't condemn Brizan. I wouldn't condemn Kid Mitchell. I wouldn't condemn nobody. Right? They just play the part. They come on the scene and they play the part and they move on. They did what they had to do, and we had to move on. Good. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, scholar. If you're gone. I think this scholar to some extent echo my whole feeling. I kind of soften politicians, because I think they are hard-working, dedicated, committed individual. People don't even want to pay them, and if they give their family 2 shit galvanized, we vex, and they really committed. But we want more. We want our country to be stable. One of the first things you want in politics is stability. You ain't choosing no party to go to wrangle and fight and breaking up. And you want to know what your representatives stand for. And we want to thank you again today for having another program with us on Target. And we want to thank and we highly appreciate those who contribute to our program. Thank you very much.
The great and diverse be our ethnicities, the bonds that unite us are stronger than